close your eyes and return to the river. You never really left it. The Nile has been here all along, moving in its ancient and unhurried way through the darkness, carrying the reflections of the stars on its surface like a gift it has no intention of keeping, only passing along gently to the sea. The night has deepened since we last rested here together. The air is a few degrees cooler now, and that coolness has a quality to it that is almost tangible, almost like a fabric, soft and light and barely there, settling over the skin the way the finest linen settles, without weight, without pressure, without any demand at all. The palms are still moving, very slowly. The northerly breeze has not stopped it, never really stops, along the Nile Valley, this patient movement of air from the sea toward the interior. But it has softened in the way that breezes soften in the deepest hours of the night, becoming less a wind and more a suggestion. The palm fronds overhead make their quiet, papery sound, and the shadows they cast on the ground shift and pool and lengthen and thin, and then shift again, endlessly, without repetition, without conclusion. You could watch those shadows for a very long time. You could watch them until watching and not watching become the same thing, until the eyes stop registering the movement, consciously, and movement simply becomes part of the background of being here, part of the texture of this night, this river, this warm and ancient and utterly unhurried place. The crickets are still singing. Of course they are. The crickets will sing until just before dawn, when the air reaches its coolest point, and even they fall quiet for a little while, leaving a silence so complete that you can hear very clearly the individual sound of the river moving around a single stone somewhere, out in the dark channel. But that silence is still far away, for now the crickets fill the air with their sustained, shimmering note, not intrusive, not demanding, simply present, the way the stars are present, the way the river is present, the way the darkness itself is present. The temple rests in the darkness beyond the palms. Its walls are thick and warm with the stored heat of the day, radiating it back slowly into the night air. Inside, in the innermost sanctuary, the god dwells in perfect stillness, a stillness so complete, so practiced, so ancient, that it has become indistinguishable from the stillness of the stone itself. The incense has long since finished burning. The oil lamp has been extinguished. There is no sound inside those walls, and no light, and the air is dense with the accumulated fragrance of 10,000 offerings made in that same small chamber over the course of many generations of human devotion. The temple does not sleep exactly, but it rests. It settles into itself, into the extraordinary density of its own stones, each block placed with such deliberate care that the whole structure seems less like something built and more like something grown, as though the stone simply arranged itself into this form, drawn by some gravitational logic deeper than human intention. And the river moves past all of it, past the temple and the village, and the palm grove and the granary, and the watchfire that has burned down now too. Its last, quiet coals pass the fields where the dark earth holds the memory of the flood, holding it in the form of grain that will come up in the morning light, green and improbably alive, reaching upward toward the sun, with the PERFECT, confidence of things that have grown, here for thousands of years and intend to go on doing so. The river does not pause for any of this. It simply moves as it has always moved, drawing the darkness with it downstream, carrying the starlight on its back, breathing its soft breath of mud and distance into the warm night air. Let your own breath find that rhythm now. In, slowly, the cool night air filling the lungs all the way, gently, without effort, and out, slowly, longer than the breath in, all the way out, until the body is briefly, peacefully empty, and in again. The river moves. The stars burn in their ancient silence above the valley, above the sleeping village, and the resting temple, and the dark fields, and the patient desert beyond. They have been burning for so long that the light, arriving here tonight, left its source. Before this civilization existed, before the first stone was laid, before the first seed was planted, in the first furrow drawn through the first gift of the flood, ancient light falling on ancient water, and you here, resting at the center of it, held by the darkness, carried by the sound of the river, cradled by the warmth of the night, and the slow, steady, immeasurable generosity of a world that has been holding sleeping bodies on its surface since long before anyone thought to count the years. There is nothing more to do tonight. The river knows where it is going. The stars know their slow rotation. The palms know how to move in the wind, and the crickets know their song. And the mud brick houses know how to hold the warmth, and the dark earth knows how to turn rain and river water into grain and flowers, and the dense green life that lines the banks in the morning. Everything here knows what it is. Everything here is doing exactly what it is meant to do. And you are meant to rest. You are meant to let the sound of the water carry you down into the soft, warm, unhurried dark. You are meant to let the stars watch over you while you sleep, as they have watched over every sleeping body that has ever rested on this bank, in this valley, beside this river. The Nile receives you. The night holds you. Sleep now. The river is behind you now. You have walked, slowly and without hurry, away from the dark water and the swaying palms and the soft sound of the reeds. Walked westward, as the sun walks each evening, toward the place where the light goes when the day is done. The ground beneath your feet has changed. The dark, rich earth of the riverbank gave way gradually, first to pale, sandy soil, then to gravel, and then, almost without you noticing, the exact moment of transition to sand. Pure, fine, ancient sand, cool now under the night sky, giving slightly beneath each step with a softness that is almost like walking on cloud. You are in the desert. The air here is different from the air at the river, drier, cleaner. Without, the rich smell of mud and water, and growing things. The desert air at midnight has almost no smell at all, just a faint mineral coolness, like stone recently released from warmth, like the inside of a cave that has never known fire. And the silence of the desert at night is not the silence of absence. It is the silence of something enormous, holding its breath. The crickets are gone. The frogs are gone. The river's soft murmuring is gone. What remains is a quiet so complete, so total, so unbroken by any human sound or animal sound, or the sound of wind moving through leaves, that it begins to feel less like silence and more like a presence, a vast, patient, utterly calm presence that has been here since before anything else, and that will remain here long after everything else has passed. Breathe into it. Let your lungs fill with this clean, cool, ancient air, and let the silence hold you. The dunes rise ahead of you. They are not dramatic tonight. They do not loom or threaten. In the starlight, they are simply curves, enormous, slow curves of pale sand, one flowing into the next, like the breathing of something unimaginably large and entirely asleep. Their edges are sharp where the wind last shaped them, a line drawn so cleanly against the dark sky that it seems drawn by intention, by a hand with a very steady wrist and infinite patience. The sand on the surface of the dunes is cool to the touch. If you were to reach down and press your palm flat against it, you would feel that coolness immediately, a smooth, fine coolness, the temperature of deep water, the temperature of stone in shadow. A few inches below the surface, the sand still holds a memory of the day's warmth. But up here, on the surface, under the open sky, the desert has released everything. And what remains is simply this: cool and pale and endlessly patient sand, shaped by wind into forms of accidental perfection. And above the dunes, the sky. Here, away from the river and the village and the small warm fires of human habitation, the sky is even larger than it was at the water's edge. The desert has no trees, no walls, no structures to interrupt the horizon. The sky comes all the way down to the earth on every side, a complete dome, unbroken, vast, beyond any word for vast, thick with stars, from one edge to the other. You are very small beneath this sky, and that smallness is not frightening. It is, in the most unexpected way, deeply comforting to be small in something so large, to be one quiet point of warmth in this enormous, cool, silver-dark immensity. You are held by it, contained within it, part of it. Rest into that feeling now. Let the dunes hold the darkness around you, soft and close and still. The pyramids are near. You cannot see them clearly. They are large shadows among shadows, darker than the sky, but less defined than the dunes. Three vast shapes, rising from the desert floor with a patience and solidity that belongs to a category, beyond architecture, beyond monument, beyond anything built. They simply exist, the way mountains exist, the way the desert itself exists as fundamental facts of the landscape, as things that have always been here and In any time scale that matters to a sleeping mind, always will be. No sound comes from them. No wind moves around their corners tonight. They stand in the absolute stillness of the deep desert, their faces catching the faint starlight and holding it pale, barely luminous, immeasurably old. The sand between you and them is undisturbed. It has been shaped by the last wind into long, shallow ripples, like the surface of a calm sea frozen in a single moment. Each ripple catches the starlight along its crest, a thin silver line, and drops into shadow on its far side. The pattern goes on and on, ripple and shadow, all the way to the base of the great stones. Sit down in the sand now. Let it receive your weight. Feel its coolness beneath you, its fine softness, its perfect stillness. There is nowhere else to be, no other moment waiting. Just this sand, this sky, these ancient stones resting in the dark, and the stars above them burning with their quiet, patient, incomprehensible light. The desert breathes very slowly, and with it, you breathe in and out, and the pyramids stand in their silence, and the stars turn overhead, and the sand holds you, and the night holds everything, and there is nothing left to do. Now, but close your eyes and let it all go soft and dark and still. Sleep now. The desert keeps watch. You have come in from the desert. The night air outside is still cool, still vast, still filled with the enormous silence of the dunes. But now there is a doorway before you. Two great stone columns flanking an entrance so tall that its upper edge disappears into the darkness above. The threshold stone beneath your feet is worn smooth by the passage of countless feet across countless years. It holds a faint warmth that the surrounding stone does not, as though all those footsteps left something behind, some small, accumulated warmth of human presence, pressing itself gently into the stone over time. You step through. The air changes immediately. Outside, the desert air was dry and open and moving. In here, the air is still, completely still. It has been enclosed by these walls for so long that it has become its own thing. Cooler than the night outside, heavier, denser, carrying within it the faint, sweet, resinous trace of incense burned in this space over many generations, not sharp or intrusive, just a trace, a ghost of fragrance that lives in the stone itself. The columns rise on either side of you. They are enormous, each one wider than your arms could circle, taller than anything that belongs to the ordinary scale of human life. In the dim light, that falls from somewhere above, starlight filtering through a narrow opening in the ceiling, bending itself around the stone, and arriving here, softened, pale, barely enough to see by. The columns are more felt than seen. Their presence is gravitational. They pull the space into alignment around them, organizing the darkness into something structured and intentional, and deeply, deeply calm. Each column is covered in carved figures. You cannot read them in this light. You can only feel the texture of them with your eyes. The way the surface is not flat, but articulated, alive with shallow relief, every inch of it considered and deliberate. Processions of figures move upward toward the ceiling. Gods receive offerings. The sun rises in its eternal sequence across carved stone sky. Run your fingertips along the column nearest to you. The stone is cool and slightly rough where the carving is, smooth where it is plain. It has the particular feel of very old stone, not cold exactly, not hard exactly, but settled, dense with time, as though the years have compressed themselves into the mineral structure of the limestone and made it something more substantial than ordinary rock, something closer to permanence. The silence in here is different from the silence of the desert. The desert silence was open and borderless. This silence has shape. It is held by the walls, contained by the ceiling, structured by the columns into something that feels almost architectural. In itself, a silence with corridors and chambers, with depth and variation. A silence you can move through. And moving through it, you feel it enter you, settling into the breath, softening everything. At the far end of the hall, there is a smaller doorway. Beyond it, the innermost chamber, the sanctuary. You do not need to enter it. You can feel it from here. The way you feel a fire's warmth before you see the flame. A concentrated stillness. A gathered quiet that is older and deeper than the quiet of the outer hall. The place where the stone is thickest, where the walls are closest, where the outside world is most completely sealed away. You do not need to go further. Here, in this corridor of columns, between the night outside and the sanctuary within, is exactly the right place to rest. The walls are close enough to feel protective, not confining, but sheltering. The way the walls of a childhood room felt sheltering, or the walls of any space that has ever made you feel that nothing outside could reach you, that you were held, that you were safe. The stone holds the temperature perfectly. Not warm, not cold, simply the right temperature. The temperature of deep rest, of a body that has released all its tension and lies completely open to the support beneath it. The incense trace is strongest here. Cedar and resin and something floral, something ancient, rising very slowly from the stone around you, from the floor beneath you, from the air that has been sealed in these chambers through the long procession of nights. Just like this one. Let your eyes close now. The columns stand on either side, patient and immovable, keeping the darkness in its place. The walls hold the silence. The floor holds your weight. The stone holds everything, all of it, all of you, with the quiet and absolute reliability of something that has been holding things for a very long time and has never once let go. The sanctuary breathes around you. You are safe inside the stone. Sleep now. Step outside once more. The temple is behind you now, its thick walls still holding their gathered silence, their trace of incense, their deep and patient dark. You carry some of that stillness with you as you step back into the open night. It clings to you gently, like the coolness of the stone still present on your fingertips, like the quiet that followed you out through the doorway and has not yet left. The sky receives you. Look up There is no other instruction, no other thing to do. Simply look up, slowly, letting your gaze travel from the horizon, where the pale sand meets the dark air, in a line so clean and unbroken that it seems drawn upward across the great dome of the night, all the way to the point directly above you, where the sky is at its deepest and its stars at their most numerous. The Milky Way is there. It runs from one horizon to the other in a river of soft, diffuse light, not sharp, not dramatic, but luminous in the way that things are luminous when they are lit from within. Hundreds of millions of stars, too distant to separate, blurring together into this great, pale band that the people of this valley have always known, have always named, have always understood as something more than random light. They see a body in it, a goddess arched across the heavens, her form studded with stars, her face turned always downward toward the earth she loves and shelters and watches over through every hour of every night. She is arched above you now. Her light is falling on the desert sand, on the pyramids, on the dark ribbon of the river far behind you, on every sleeping face, in every sleeping house, in the valley below. Breathe in that light. Let it be soft on your closed eyelids. Let it be cool and silver and endlessly, endlessly calm. Find the hunter in the sky. He is there. To the south, 3 stars in a perfectly straight line, so evenly spaced, so deliberately aligned that even the first human eyes to notice them must have stopped and looked again. Orion's belt, 3 points of light that have been a landmark in the sky for as long as human beings have looked upward. In every culture, on every continent, in every age, the people of the Nile know him differently. To them, those 3 stars mark the belt of a great God, a God of resurrection and eternal life, a God who died and was restored, who passed through darkness and emerged again into light. His stars rise in the east each night and travel in a slow arc across the sky, and their position at certain times of year carries messages about the seasons, about the coming flood, about the turning of the great wheel of time. Below the belt, 1 star burns brighter than the others. Sirius, the brightest star in the night sky, burning with a light that is slightly blue at its edges, white at its heart, unwavering and precise. The people of this valley watch for Sirius above all other stars. Its rising just before dawn, its first reappearance on the eastern horizon after weeks of absence, tells them that the flood is near, that the river will swell and the fields will darken with new mud, and the year will begin again. Sirius is the star of return, of renewal, of the faithful repetition of good things. It burns above you now without urgency, without drama, simply present, as it has always been present, holding its place in the sky with the absolute reliability of something that knows exactly what it is and has never had any reason to be otherwise. Let your eyes rest on it, or simply feel it above you, if your eyes are already closing. A fixed point, a faithful light, a star that has been watching over this valley since before the first stone of the first temple was laid. The sky is turning, very slowly, too slowly to see in any single moment, but turning nonetheless, the whole enormous dome of stars rotating around the still point in the north, that fixed and unmoving star around which everything else circles in its long, patient revolution. By the time the first gray light of dawn begins to thin the darkness on the eastern horizon, the stars will have moved, all of them, each one tracing its arc across the night in the same direction, at the same pace as they have done every night since the sky was made. The pharaohs knew this turning. They built their monuments to align with it, great stone structures oriented to the stars with a precision that required not just mathematics, but decades of patient observation, nights beyond counting, spent watching the sky from the rooftops of temples, tracking the movement of individual stars across the seasons, learning the rhythms of the heavens, the way a farmer learns the rhythms of the river. The pyramids behind you are part of that sky. They are not separate from it. They were placed in conversation with it, angled toward specific stars, their shafts opening to the heavens like narrow eyes turned always upward. The stone and the star are in a relationship, as old and as considered as any relationship in the history of this valley, and you, lying beneath that same sky, are part of it too. Your breath is timed to the same night, your body cooled by the same desert air, your face turned upward toward the same river of stars that turned above every sleeping body that has ever rested on this. Earthen looked up in wonder and felt, however briefly, however quietly, the enormous and utterly reliable peace of a universe proceeding exactly as it should. The stars turn, the desert rests, and you, beneath all of it, held by all of it, release the last of the waking world and drift slowly, gently, into the soft and starlit dark. You have been walking softly through the desert, not far, not with any urgency, just following something, a feeling perhaps, or the faintest suggestion of a change in the air, something cooler, something that carries within it a trace of green, a trace of water, a trace of the living world tucked somewhere inside all this beautiful emptiness. And then you find it. It appears gradually, the way all the best things appear, not all at once, not with announcement, but in small increments, each one barely enough to believe. First, the sand beneath your feet becomes slightly darker, slightly denser, holding, somewhere beneath its surface, the memory of moisture. Then, a single plant, low and pale and perfectly still, growing at the edge of what seems impossible. Then another, and then the sound. Water, not the broad, slow sound of the Nile. Something smaller, more intimate. A sound that seems to come from the earth itself, rising up from somewhere deep and hidden and ancient. A gentle, continuous bubbling, as though the desert floor has simply decided, in this one quiet place, to give, The spring is there before you, a small dark pool, perfectly still at its edges and moving very gently at its center where the water rises. The surface catches the starlight and holds it dozens of small silver reflections trembling slightly with the movement of the water beneath, like scattered coins on a dark cloth. The pool is not large. It is intimate. It is exactly the right size for a secret. Kneel beside it. Feel the cool dampness of the dark earth beneath your knees. Feel the air change around your face. Cooler here, softer, carrying that particular freshness that only exists near water in a dry landscape. A freshness so specific, so rare in this vast desert, that it feels almost like kindness. The spring bubbles very softly. That is the only sound. The palms grow close around the water. They are older than the ones along the Nile bank, or they feel older. Somehow, standing here in their isolation, their trunks more curved, their fronds more ragged at the edges, shaped over many years by the desert wind into forms of accidental beauty. They grow in a loose circle around the spring and its small pool, their crowns high above, moving now in the faintest breath of the midnight breeze. The sound they make is the same papery whisper, but here, enclosed by the desert on all sides, that whisper is more audible, more present. There is nothing else to compete with it. No river, no village, no distant dog, no watchfire, just the palms and the spring and the soft percussion of fronds moving in the dark. At the edge of the pool, the lotus flowers are resting. They closed at dusk, as lotus flowers do, drawing their petals inward, composing themselves into tight, pale buds that rest on the surface of the water like small sleeping things, barely touching the darkness around them. But even closed, they release their scent. It moves through the oasis air slowly, mixing with the smell of the wet earth and the cool stone and the night itself. Something sweet and faintly green. Something that has no equivalent in any other place or time. Breathe it in. Let it fill you completely. Let the sweetness of it reach the very bottom of the lungs. All the way in, all the way down. And let it go slowly. There is a mat of soft grass. At the water's edge, cool and faintly damp and absolutely yielding. Lower yourself onto it. Feel the earth receive you. Feel the ground beneath the grass, solid and unhurried, and entirely willing to hold your weight for as long as you need. The spring continues its quiet conversation with itself. The palms continue their slow and papery song. The lotus rests on the water, and the desert, enormous and silent on all sides, holds this small green miracle in its center, like a secret kept faithfully for a very long time. The water in the pool is perfectly clear. Even in the darkness, even lit only by starlight, you can see the bottom pale sand, and smooth dark pebbles, and the place where the spring rises, marked by a slight disturbance, a continuous slow turning of the water above it. The movement is hypnotic. It does not stop. It does not vary. It simply continues, This gentle upwelling from somewhere deep below the desert floor, as though the earth has a slow and generous heart. And this is where it beats. A single bird is sleeping in the nearest palm. You cannot see it, but you know it is there, a small warm presence in the darkness above. Its feathers fluffed against the night air, its small heart beating quickly in the way that birds' hearts beat, its eyes closed, its whole small body completely surrendered to sleep. It arrived here the way all things arrive at an oasis drawn by the water, drawn by the green, drawn by the promise of rest in a landscape that offers very little of it. Like you, drawn here, finding it, resting. The stars overhead are the same stars that burned above the pyramids, above the temple, above the Nile. But seen from here, from this small, enclosed green world, they seem closer. The circle of palms frames them, a rough, dark border around a patch of sky so densely starred that the darkness between them seems almost secondary, almost beside the point. Let your eyes close now. The spring will go on bubbling long after sleep has come. The palms will go on whispering. The lotus will go on resting on the water, waiting patiently for the first warmth of morning, to open it again into its full and extraordinary flower. But that opening is hours away. For now, there is only the cool earth beneath you, and the sweet air around you, and the soft, continuous sound of water rising from deep in the desert, faithful and generous and entirely, endlessly calm. The oasis holds you. The night holds the oasis, and everything the spring, the palms, the sleeping bird, the resting lotus, the stars, the sand, the ancient and unhurried world breathes together, slowly, in the dark. Sleep now. You are exactly where you need to be. The journey is complete. The night has stretched out across the ancient land, growing deeper, softer, and more silent with every passing hour. You have walked along the banks of the slow-moving Nile, where the reeds whispered their quiet secrets in the dark. You have crossed the cool, endless sand of the desert dunes under the wide silver sky, and you have stood in the massive, protective shadow of the pyramids. Now, all of those places are at rest. The river flows in absolute darkness, carrying the starlight on its surface, without a sound. The desert sand has settled into perfect stillness, holding the memory of your footsteps, but releasing them back into the vast emptiness. The great stone temple keeps its ancient watch, its thick walls guarding a deep and sacred silence that nothing from the outside world can break. And here, in the quiet heart of the oasis, the water continues to rise very slowly, very gently from the deep earth. The palm fronds have stopped their rustling. The lotus buds rest motionlessly on the dark pool. Everything has slowed down. The world has narrowed to this single moment, this single place, this single breath, in and out. There is nowhere else to travel, no other path to follow. Every place you have visited tonight has been leading you here, to this perfect stillness, to this complete release, to this moment of letting go. Look up one last time at the turning sky. The stars are moving in their eternal, patient circle around the north. Orion and Sirius burn with a soft, steady light, watching over the sleeping valley just as they have done for thousands of years. They do not hurry. They do not change. They simply exist in the vast cosmic dark, a faithful reminder that the universe is proceeding exactly as it should, wrapped in an unbreakable and timeless peace. That peace is yours now. It has filtered down from the stars, through the cool air, and into the space around you. It has entered the stone of the temples, the sand of the desert, and the water of the river. And with every breath you take, it enters you. Your thoughts are growing heavy, blurring at the edges like the Milky Way against the dark sky. The worries of the waking world have faded away, becoming as distant and insignificant as a grain of sand lost in the great dunes. They cannot reach you here. Within these borders of silence and ancient safety, you are completely sheltered. You are entirely protected. Feel the deep weight of your body resting against the earth. The ground beneath you is solid and reliable. It has held the weight of history, the weight of monuments, and the weight of countless sleeping souls before you. It holds you now with the exact same care, asking for nothing in return but your willingness to rest. Let the darkness wrap around you like a soft, protective blanket. The night is at its absolute deepest point now. The entire land of Egypt, from the delta to the mountains, from the river to the hidden springs, is completely still. The gods of the old world have closed their eyes, and the quiet earth keeps watch. There is nothing left to see. There is nothing left to hear. The whispers of the palms fade into the background. The sound of the bubbling spring grows softer and softer, drifting further away until it is nothing more than a gentle heartbeat in the distance. The silver light of the stars goes soft and dim, melting into a deep, velvety dark. Surrender to it now. Let yourself drift downward gently into the quiet waters of sleep. The desert breathes very slowly, and with it, you breathe in and out. Let the final shadows close in around you, safe and still and warm. The journey is over. The rest is here, and the timeless dark holds everything in its patient embrace. Sleep now. Fall deep asleep. The eternal night keeps watch.